share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
It's the 30th day of December 2020. Hello and welcome to Joy News at 6 with me, Manuel Cranting.
I am Apostle Aaron Amina of the Apostolic Church, and I wish everyone in this nation a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous 2021. God bless you.
The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. It's also on Love 99.5 in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including Gaskia FM in Techiman and worldwide at myjoyonline.com. Coming up, opposition NDC set to challenge declaration of President Akufo-Addo as president-elect by the EC as 21-day window allowed for challenge of presidential election lapses today.
A resolution has been passed and approved unanimously for the flag bearer to challenge the outcome of the presidential elections.
More later. Also, President Akufo-Addo holds last cabinet meeting of the year with question of whether to reopen schools high on the agenda. The Ghana National Association of Private Schools has been expressing its own views in an effort to convince government.
Our expectation is that schools will reopen in full scale at all levels.
And in business,
Ghana owes 19 nations $1.165 billion and is expected to repay the loans between now till 2022.
And later in the bulletin, PAV Answer Journalist of the Year, Samson Ladi Anyanene, condemns recent attacks and death threats on journalists in the country, insisting irresponsible journalism cannot be a justification for this trend.
That journalists must practice responsible journalism if they want to avoid these attacks. That is an aberration. It must never be heard.
More of this later in the bulletin. Please do stay for details. And this is your election headquarters. Now, lawyers for NDC presidential candidate John Mahama will today be hoping to meet the constitutional requirement of filing a petition challenging election results within 21 days after declaration of results. Now, the decision to challenge the results that saw Nana Akufo-Addo declared winner follows weeks of protest. The results, as declared by the Commission's boss, Jean Mensah, on Tuesday, December 9, recorded the governing New Patriotic Party's Nana Akufo-Addo winning 51.59% of the total votes cast, while John Mahama garnered 47.36% of the total votes cast. But the former president and the NDC have maintained that the verdict was fabricated to favor the incumbent political party. Here's national chairman of the party, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo.
The leadership of Parliament was here. Our Council of Elders were here. The Functional Executive and the National Executive Committee were all here. And that a resolution has been passed and approved unanimously for the flag bearer to challenge the outcome of the presidential elections. And also in the parliamentary elections where there are disputes, the legal team has been empowered to make sure that they explore all the legal processes to ensure that justice is restored and the will of the people is not subverted.
Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo is national chairman of the opposition NDC. Now, court correspondent Joseph Akabile joins me in studio with more on this. Now, Joseph, you've been following this closely. What are we to expect in court?
And so the Supreme Court registry will be open from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30. We understand that within that period, lawyers for the NDC will be visiting the place to file this particular petition. They will be making the case and request to the Supreme Court that they should set aside that result and in a worst-case scenario, call for a runoff or declare that Mr. Mahama was validly elected as president.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akabile, is our court correspondent. Do stay with us for more details on this case in the course of the day. Now, away from that story, acting president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NABS, Damascus Trosong, is calling for a full-scale reopening of all pre-tertiary schools as government prepares to announce reopening of learning centers. The Information Minister last week said President Akufo-Addo is receiving briefings from the COVID-19 Technical Task Force on limited school reopenings. Mr. Akufo-Addo is expected to make a firm decision on school reopening in January 2021 after a cabinet meeting on December 30. The president of NABS tells Joy News that he would urge the president to reconsider reopening of schools in phases.
Our expectation is that schools will reopen in full scale. And when I talk of schools reopening, schools at all levels, from the pre-tertiary to the senior high level, will reopen in full scale by the middle of January 2021. And we do not expect any kind of staggered reopening whereby they would ask certain levels to go to school while other levels still remain at home. We don't expect that at all. We do not expect that they will continue to use COVID-19 outbreak as an excuse for shutting any level of Ghana's pre-tertiary educational system, shutting them down. So this is what we expect from the president as he makes his pronouncements tomorrow.
Damascus Josong is acting president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo is today meeting members of his cabinet in what will be his last meeting with his ministers before wrapping up activities of his first term in office. Top on the agenda is consideration of reopening of schools in the country. Our government in March this year closed down all schools in response to rising cases of COVID-19. The virus has so far killed 333 people in Ghana from over 54,000 confirmed cases. Ghana's case count has so far dropped to only 869 active cases, making the case for the reopening of schools really strong. Cabinet is expected to examine the proposals that ensures that the safety of students and staff are maintained. And the Institute for Education Studies is kicking against the automatic promotion of students ahead of reopening of schools. IFES is of the strong conviction that since the implementation of the new curriculum has not run its full course, a readjustment of the academic calendar to ensure that students spend at least 4 weeks at their current classes to enable their teachers to wrap up what all they need to know at the level before they move to the next level will be very beneficial to their students. Now, PAV Ansa Journalist of the Year Samson Ladianene has condemned recent attacks and death threats on journalists in the country. He has called on political leaders and state actors to openly condemn these attacks and threats, and in the process call their followers to order as well. A number of journalists have received various forms of attacks, including threats on their lives following their coverage of the 2020 elections. This is Samson Ladianene saying that this is in bad taste.
There can never be any justification for criminal harm on a journalist because you think they have done something wrong. The most disappointing, people we thought would be ambassadors of the media who were in the media and found themselves in government, suddenly making commentary that suggests that there ought to be a justification for a journalist being attacked. We have been told over and again by the Information Ministry that journalists must practice responsible journalism if they want to avoid these attacks. That is an aberration. It must never be heard. I have been at the receiving end of some of these threats.
PAV Ansa Journalist of the Year Samson Ladianene there. In a related development, though, the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service is yet to respond to an official complaint filed by the Multimedia Group on threats of some of its journalists. It's been 14 days already since that formal petition was filed. Now, the Ghana Health Service is expressing worry over the level of stunted growth among many children in the Ashanti region. Stunted growth refers to a situation where children do not grow at a rate they are supposed to. The Ashanti region is currently having a national average of 16% of children experiencing stunted growth. Now, FM's Prince Apia has been following the subject and reports now.
Available statistics show that 16.3% of children in Ashanti region were stunted as at 2014. The numbers compel the Ghana Health Service to embark on a stunting and nutrition project. Olivia Timpo is the Regional Nutrition Officer for the Ghana Health Service.
Currently, the stunting rate of Ashanti is 16.1% compared to a region that has a rate of maybe 30-something, and then they are not densely populated and so have a few number of children who are stunted. So we realize that there's a need to look at our figures again and look at the absolute figures, and hence the need for the stunting prevention program. And we are saying that parents should ensure that children are given a 4-star diet, a diet that has staples, legumes, animal source foods, and fruits and vegetables with emphasis on vitamin A-rich foods.
Lava FM's Prince appears reports, ending the news at 6 here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top story this hour: opposition NDC set to challenge declaration of President Akufo-Addo as president-elect by the EC as 21-day window allowed for challenge of presidential elections elapses today. We'll definitely bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. There's definitely more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Manor Kranting. Thanks for your company.